Hey everybody, it's Moxie Gals here, and just wanted to have a conversation with Mary Ann. I've had 3 conversations today about women that are struggling with depression, and thought we need to just sit down and talk about it because you are one of those women. And being a woman that doesn't struggle with it, but I have people in my life that I care about that do. We want to share both sides of what it feels like, what it looks like to struggle with it, and then what do you do for someone that is struggling with it and you don't, and to help each other. So this is how it's going. This is just what we're going to talk about. So tell me.
Time out. It's going to be weird because now it's going to seem like an interview. But one of the things that we talk about that we would love to do is when we're sitting around drinking coffee, hanging out, we have these conversations. And in the middle of it, we go, man, I wish someone had hit record.
Right.
Because we're better when we're doing this.
Yes.
So if it feels like you're kind of peeking into our conversation,
You are.
and that's okay.
Yeah. So yesterday, you had a really bad day.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you started out like, and I knew something wasn't right. Like I could feel it, literally physically feel it. And, I came out, I said, good morning. And right away,
Yeah.
what you just like,
Well, right. So we were talking about this. This is healthy, ladies. We have to talk about it because we are talking about, even with ourselves, living together, how do we navigate this? And I remember, like, this actually started the day before. If you struggle with depression, here's my disclaimer. Everyone's different.
yeah.
My journey, my struggle, my walk, it's not like everybody fits this. Like, everybody is different. This is just my thing, and if it resonates with you, my heart is that you'll go, wow, I'm not alone. And if you resonate like with Michele, and to have someone in your life that's like, I don't know how to help someone like this. So for me, Monday started just that, you beating yourself up. Tuesday, that was yesterday, I mean full on. So when I got up, the thing for me was hide, isolate. But because I also knew that, and it's kind of a good thing, that there's an accountability person in the house with me, that I was going to have to some point maybe come out of my room, maybe not. And then if I looked at you, I didn't want you to know because I didn't want to have that conversation. I just want to go back to bed. But there's a code word that we use that's not a depression thing, that, we all have bad days. And so we say cranky. And so sometimes I look at you and you're like, I'm just cranky today. And I say the same thing, meaning, okay, we're just having, it's not personal. I didn't do anything. Because sometimes it's like, did I do something?
Yeah.
Are you mad at me?
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with that. So as I walked down the hall, I thought, oh, I can just tell her I'm cranky. And then she'll leave me alone. And so that's what I did.
And I did. Because like she said, we know that word. So I'm thinking, okay, she needs some space. I'll give her some space. I let you know if you wanted to talk. I'm here. I'm available. I didn't want to push. So I left you alone. And that's exactly what you wanted. Not what you needed, but that's what you wanted.
Right.
So later on, how did it come to be? What made you say, I need to say I was really struggling today, versus just hiding and isolating and letting everybody know that I think that you're cranky when it was more than that?
Yeah. That didn't come out until late that night when you got home. You'd gone out and Dean got home and everything. But, the many layers of depression, some are, I've been in this state of depression where I could not do what I did yesterday.
Okay.
Like, I would not get out of bed. I would not speak to anyone, and I was okay with that. I didn't care. So you're beating yourself up going, wow, this is pretty pathetic. So I think for me yesterday, I was at a place where I still had a little bit of fight in me to push through. And because I know you and I know you really care for me, I knew we would have a conversation later, and it'd be like, why did you tell me and all. So for me, my first thing was to text you. Now we live in the same house, but
She did.
text you and say, do you want to talk and finish our conversation about Moxie from yesterday? So I knew if I were able to do that, I figured she'd find some time. We would focus on something else, not me. And that would just be the fight to put one foot in front of the other. But I didn't say anything. Like, did you
No.
think I was still cranky then? Like,
No,
what did
you
I look
were-
like then?
You were
I didn't
fine.
even-
Like you were performing. You were going through the motion. Like it was fine.
Okay.
Fine. We all know what that means. You weren't great.
Yeah.
But you weren't. You didn't seem cranky. But there was just a tiny bit of an edge.
Yeah.
But
I don't know what that looks
Yeah,
like.
yeah. But it wasn't like, oh my gosh, she's really struggling here. It didn't
Yeah.
come across that way at all.
And for me, I can only do that for so long when I'm starting to spiral. Like we think we've got it, and I think one of the things is thinking, I thought I conquered this. I thought it was over. I thought I was stronger than this. And when you start thinking, oh my gosh, it's worse than I thought, or I'm weaker than I thought, or I'm all the thing, and shame and guilt start creeping in. So the part of me yesterday was able to go, I can do this. I can do this. But I only could do it for a little while. We finished working through. Then I started busying myself and just you should see the office. The floor is covered. I just thought, let me pull everything out and just get distracted and just keep moving. And which was fine. And then you left. Dean was home at that point, and I couldn't hold it any longer. So Dean really got the brunt of it. Dean's my husband.
Yeah. And Dean knew as soon as he walked in, like he didn't know what, but he knew something's not right here. And he's looking at me and I'm going, something's not right, but I don't know what. You know, she doesn't want to talk about it. I don't know what to do. Because as not knowing exactly what you're feeling, not ever experiencing that, it's this line of, do I push? Like, how much do I push? Like, how far do I enter into that?
Yeah.
Because the last thing I want to do is send you over the edge, right? And like nobody wants to do that, but you don't, like, is it possible to do that? Like if somebody pushes too far, and I guess it depends on.
It depends. So I think that's the hard thing. Just like every pregnancy is different. You can't say this is what happened. Depending on the time of year, what else is happening in your life. For me, what else is going on, and all the rain and other issues that are going on, like all those variables, I don't have a one size fits all answer. So I don't know that. I think what I do know is that I have two people, at least you and my husband, that are willing to fight with me and stay in it, even if I do everything wrong. Don't do anything at all. I think there in the back of my mind is there, which is probably why I was able to say, hey, text you. Because it's like, it's just a lifeline. I'm going to stay in it. But I will say that is exhausting. When you are fighting depression, to even act like you're normal is so exhausting, right? So I don't have an answer for that. We were talking with another woman today who is bright and cheery and lovely, and we just love her. And she's like, been struggling with depression. And I'm like, oh, same. She said, yesterday, I'm like, same. Like, it's just amazing. And her relating her particular situation, and I'm leaning in and listening. And some of it I'm going, yep. And some of it like, okay, here's what's different. But she also shared a really great book that I'm going to look up, and we'll put in the link. And she gave me the authors, but basically there's two sides to the book. I'm not enough, I'm too much. So she was explaining, depending on what day you're having, if you're fighting I'm not good enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not a good enough friend or good enough wife. She said that part of the book you read encourage you. The other side of the book is I'm too much. And that's where I think I land. In fact, we even had that conversation last week.
Yep, we did.
And I'm like, I'm just too much Mary Ann. Like, because I'm bam, and I'm like, let's go, or over the top, or bang on the table, just all of that. Like, I know I've been told you're too bossy, you're too much. So then what's the opposite of being too much for me? Be less. Hide. Go away. Like, disappear. And that was the word yesterday that kept coming.
Yeah.
Disappear. Just disappear, Mary. Just disappear. Like, it doesn't matter. You don't belong here. Like, disappear. No one needs to hear you. No one needs to see you even. And that's scary. That, like, what does that mean, disappear?
That's scary to hear somebody say, I just want to disappear. Like, when you said that last night, I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Like, that just sounded scary to me.
I don't ever think about what that sounds like to somebody else.
No. Why would you? Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So I don't have an answer. We don't have an answer for that. I think what I have learned is to know that I have you and Dean, that there's got to be somebody in your life that at the end of it all, even though it's ugly and messy and it feels very babyish, and it just kind of amplifies everything that you're trying to fight of being strong and capable and independent, to know that you are not. You are weak and dependent, and that's not a bad thing necessarily.
Right.
Does that make sense?
In Moxie, we talk about it all the time. No, you're not alone. You're not supposed to be alone. We
Right.
can't go through this life alone. Life is hard. The life is good and blah, blah, all that stuff. That sounds great. And there are times when it is good.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes life is really hard. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we struggle emotionally, whether it's with anxiety or depression, or another thing I've heard lately is borderline personalities. Like, that's come up lately. There's a lot of mental health issues that people are struggling with. Mm-hmm. And for someone who doesn't struggle with it, what does that look like when someone that you care for is? And for me, because I just want to help people, and I hate it when I see someone hurting. That just tears me apart. I want to do something. And when we had the conversation last night, I started going, oh my gosh, I missed it. How did I miss it? What, blah, 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 and I start going through all of this. And that's part of what triggered us to do this today, because there's so many people out there like you, mm-hmm. and there's people out there like me. We don't have the answers.
I'm sitting here listening to you and wondering, when you go, I don't struggle with this, and I'm looking at you going, what does that feel like to not?
But, now don't get me wrong. Like, I'll get sad and I'll get blue when things happen. Like, I've had some tough times in my life.
Yeah.
But that, as you describe it, the black dog that sits in the corner that is always ready to come out at a minute's notice, mm-hmm. or a moment's notice. Mm-hmm. I don't have that. Like, So I want to understand, but I don't have anything.
And if you're one of those that relates to what I said, if you have better words and ways and resources, please share. Comment below, so that other women can read and learn, because we don't have all the answers.
We don't.
When I am trying to articulate, like, now that it's past, I'm better today. And then last night, talking through it, I was struggling to find the right words so that you and Dean could have an understanding. This is more than I'm sad or right. I'm tired. Like, it is a visceral, physical thing. And we were talking with someone today. It's kind of funny, not funny, but if you ever watched Stranger Things, I think it's on Netflix.
Yes.
Anyway, we got hooked on that, and they go to the upside down. And so last night, that scene came right to my mind as I was sitting there with Dean, and, best husband on the planet. Just going in, sitting with me, embracing, praying over me, just like whatever it takes. And I looked at him and I said, I feel like I'm in the upside down, which is this dark place, and it looks like it's snowing down there, but it's not. It's almost like ashes, So if
It's
you've seen the
ugly.
show, it's ugly, it's scary, it's dark, and you can't get out of there. Someone has to go in and get you. And in the movie or the series, the mom finally decides, and if you're a mama, I'm going to get my kid. I don't care how scary and dark it is. And I told Dean, I said, I need you to be brave enough to come into that dark place and pull me out, because I can't get out by myself. Like literally, that's what it felt like for me. And so I need you to be brave like that mama. And when you go into the dark place, it's being prepared to be rejected. I guess I'm trying to think, or yelled at, or ignored, or just feeling helpless maybe. Because if there are no words, and I know I've been in places where I'm just on the couch for days and days. And this was several years ago, you drove to the house, and this is when we were in North Carolina, and I remember being on the couch, I don't know how long, or days, and Dean said, Michelle's in the driveway.
Yeah.
I knew I was in trouble.
Yeah. Well, because I was texting her and calling her, and I wasn't getting anything back. So I knew something was up. And it's like, I'm coming over. And I even texted Dean as going, what is going on? Like, I need something. And I wasn't getting anything. It's like, and again, when you have that friend, that person that you really care about, whatever the relationship is, it's like you're going in, and it's like I came over. I didn't know what I was going to walk into. You could have sent me away, and I remember you were in a chair in your pajamas, and it's like, come on, we're getting out. Like, no, not staying like this. You have an hour. I don't know what we're going to do, but I think we went to a winery or something.
That's a good friend.
Yeah, it's like, come on, get out of this.
Yeah. So anyways, maybe that's helpful for someone who doesn't struggle with it to hear that. I don't know. Let us know.
Yeah, just for me, I don't know what to do except to just keep trying and looking and asking the questions. Like, all right, you said the word cranky, which to me meant, oh, you were cranky. So then later on when we were talking, and I went down that road of how did I miss it? What is that thing? But when you're depressed,
I'm not going to tell you.
Right.
I'm not going to say, I'm depressed, come help me. It's like, that's the last thing you say.
Right.
Shame, guilt, and you're just depressed. So we talked about it. It's like, what could I have said? What else could I have done?
Right.
If I was in a little bit, not quite super depressed, a little bit depressed, maybe I would have, in the future, if I'm at that place, to trust you enough and myself enough and everything else enough to go, I'm not cranky, it's something else. Like, not even saying what it is. Maybe just saying
a code
that.
word or something.
Banana. Come with the code word. We're all about code words. But then it's interesting, because then I think, well, then what would you do with that information?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I may go into, come on, let's get out mode. I don't know. I think, again, it depends on the situation. Because like that one day, I took you out. I don't know if it would be a takeout or it's like, can we talk, what can I do? Like, talk about it. I don't know if talking's going to help. Again, we don't have the answers. I'm just going to keep trying until you like throw me out and go, leave me alone, or we have a breakthrough.
Maybe it's not about you doing anything. Maybe it's my being willing to share that and you not having to do anything, but you still, and you not leaving.
Just sit there with you in it.
Right? Because we talk about with grieving.
Yeah, all the time, yep.
And it's like, I don't know what to say. And I would say that. Say, I don't know what to say. Like if someone is really hurting and painful, you can't fix it. You can't make it better. There's nothing you can say that's going to make it better. So say that. Say, I can't fix this. You're hurting. I love you. And I'm just here. And I'm going to come. You want some water now? Like I think sometimes that's enough.
Just caring For
And maybe it does something for, and I don't know, we'll have to test this. Where I'm just thinking off the top of my head, going back to yesterday, like maybe it was okay, I said it out loud and nobody died.
Mhm.
And at least someone else is helping carry this burden of knowledge.
Mhm.
And so that maybe when Dean got home, and he looked at you, what's going on, you could say, it's more than cranky today. She's
Right.
really struggling. Then that would have helped Dean to not act like, let's pretend everything's fine.
Right. When clearly it wasn't.
So,
Right.
maybe it's just
Yeah.
that, because sometimes it's just time. You have to work through it. But I think people know that. It's like if I know that that is a good thing, which is kind of weird.
Right.
There's a woman on Instagram. Her name is Beth Draws. And I'll put her link down there too. And she writes these really cute, simple cartoons that really talk about mental illness and depression and anxiety and all the things. And a lot of her drawings are really about, and there's one cute one, it's like I'm under the blanket, and then the friend's on the other side and go, I'm still here. And the person's like, and I'm under the blanket, and the person's, every time they look, the person's just still sitting there. And sometimes that's more than enough.
And sometimes it's getting under the blanket with them.
And then sometimes you get into
Now that's a visual.
But there's some power, I think, this is why I know you're not alone, of knowing that you're not fighting this by yourself. And when you're ready, like when I'm ready, or if maybe I give a clue, but you don't know it's a clue because you think it's cranky. But if you know it's not, it's something else, and I peek my head a little bit, then you'll be like, okay, I need to see where this is taking us.
Mm-hmm. I think about, and we talked about this earlier, like if you were sick, if you had the flu, or like when you broke your foot, that's obvious. Like I know how to take care of someone when they're physically sick, right? So mental illness, mental health issues is nothing different.
That's right.
So even it may be as simple as just taking care of you in that way. Can I make you lunch? Can I, make sure you're eating, make sure you have something to drink, make sure you're comfortable, that kind of thing. I don't know.
Can't hurt. I don't think. And everyone's different. I feel like, when I think about some of the years back that were longer periods of low lows, like seasons of it, counseling, medication, all of that come into play. So I think for me, after all these years, I am grateful that this hasn't gone on days and days and days and days.
Right.
But still, even if it's for half a day, I think the struggle for me is like, dang it, I thought this was over. Why can't I get over it? Why can't I snap out of it? And a lot of people's like, oh, snap out of it. Go buy a new pair of shoes, whatever. And you're like, I don't even care about buying a new pair of shoes. Like, it's not about that. So I think part of it is like, hey, this is going to be just the thing in my life, the thorn in my side. This is just going to be the thing. And if I'm smart, I won't ignore it. If I'm smart, I need to say, it's really a bad season for me. What does that mean? Right? It's like, and when it starts piling on, to go, it's starting to pile. This may take you beyond what you can handle. And it's not that you're weak, it's just too much for anyone to handle.
Right. And I think knowing you're not alone, and if you're not sure, have that conversation with somebody. Find out who can be that person or people in your life that will get under the covers with you, or peek under the cover and go, I'm still here. How you doing?
So it's the trifecta. Counseling. Get counseling. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's healthy. You go to a doctor, like when I broke my foot. I went to a doctor, got x-rays, got medication, got a boot. No big deal. Go to a doctor if you're struggling with that. If you need medication, we take medication for a headache.
Yeah.
we're taking elderberry syrup now because we don't want to get
Don't wanna get
sick.
sick.
No big deal. And so there's those two medical parts, but the other foundation, I think, is having the people in your life, knowing who it is that you can talk about this with. Maybe you talk about it when you're not depressed. Maybe you talk about like we're doing now. It's like,
It's easier, right?
yeah, oh yeah, like there was no talking yesterday happening.
No.
But afterwards, who is that person you can talk to? I think that's all I have.
Yeah, yeah. I hope this helps somebody. Like I said, we're just two gals that wanted to share what we're working through. And if you have any answers or want to share, please comment
Yep.
in the comment section below. We would love to hear from you. And if
Yes.
you have anything that worked for you, we want to know that too.
Yeah, put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Because as we heard today, the woman that was struggling with depression said she was with a large group of people, and someone said, you know, this right now is the season for depression. Like Christmas is over, the hype and the excitement and the lights. Now it's January, and it's kind of like, and pretty much across the country. There's a few exceptions, but here where we are, it has been so rainy and dreary so long. It does something here. So you put all that together, and it's no shock that there are many, many, many of us that are struggling. So know that you're not weird. You're not the only one out there. It's out there. So we are praying that this encourages you, and we would love to hear your voice so we can share it with other women.